Welcome back, everybody. Hey, members of the president's own party are divided over his response to North Korean continued aggression. For example, Senator John McCain and Lindsey Graham usually agree on everything. They're best buddies, but they aren't singing the same tune here.
The great leaders that I've seen, they don't threaten unless they are ready to act.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that President Trump is ready to act.
President Trump has basically drawn a red line, saying that he'll never allow North Korea to have an ICBM missile that can hit America with a nuclear weapon on top. He's not going to let that happen. He's not going to contain the threat. He's going to stop the threat.
Fascinating. Meanwhile, the media is more obsessed with the president's choice of words than the actual threat of war.
You don't think that the president's comments are at odds with those of the secretaries, or is this kind of a good cop, bad cop routine?
The president's language implied the use of nuclear force. Did the secretary have any early warning?
The president of the United States threatening a nuclear-armed country.
Let's consider what is alarming. What is alarming: 2 ICBM tests in less than a month, 2 nuclear tests that took place last year. As a matter of fact, when there's an earthquake in China, I get many emails and calls from all of you asking, was it another nuclear test? That is how big of a deal this is.
Since I know Heather Nauert a little bit, I think she was flabbergasted at the fact is, Mark Steyn, that nobody was asking about the threat of North Korea and how this might be different from ever before.
Yeah.
She was exasperated by it. Were you?
Yeah, and she's right to be exasperated by it. I mean, this is like some lame joke. You know, what's the difference between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un? One's an out-of-control, crazy psycho guy, and the other's the respected president of North Korea. They're actually arguing about the president's rhetoric at a time when a government has made an explicit threat to nuke U.S. territory. These guys are the crazy ones.
But they act like President Trump is the only one to ever have challenging words for a persistent threat.
Yeah.
Do you remember Gaddafi? Remember what Reagan said, the mad dog of the Middle East?
Yeah.
He said he was a flake.
Right.
They were willing to back our president at the time because it was a threat to our country. What has happened?
Well, I think what has happened is that people are generally not as serious about these things. I mean, the conversation on North Korea is slightly... People are arguing about whether he can merely nuke Guam or whether he can nuke Boston. I mean, these are absurd differences. The fact is, the sane, house-trained politicians have spent a quarter century allowing us to get to this point, and that's why we're at a hellish point.
So I talked to Senator Lindsey Graham on the radio today, and Senator McCain's always been a guest. I actually think Senator McCain would have been a great president, and I always appreciate the way he was willing to confront the threats on America. It was the same Senator McCain that called Kim Jong-un a short, fat kid, and just mocked him. He's chairman of armed services. Why is that okay? And the president saying this threat has to be confronted the way he says fire and fury. Why is that not okay?
No, and John McCain was also the guy who was doing the bomb, Iran jokes a couple of years ago as well. And I think what we have to remember here is that it's not a time to argue about rhetoric.
Exactly.
This is actually something real. We are in a state of the world now where a regime that does not respect maxims of prudence, it is an economic basket case, has somehow managed to become a nuclear power on Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama's watch.
Strategic patience didn't work.
No.
He handed this president a grenade and pulled the pin, did Barack Obama, and he might even have known about the miniaturizing of the nuclear warheads as early as 2013. That's another story. The other one is this country elected a president more confrontational than the previous one. They elected a professor after they thought the president prior was too much of a cowboy. Respect what the people put in the dugout.
Absolutely. And in fact, I don't think it hurts at this moment for the United States to be perceived as slightly unpredictable. If you could think
no one fights the crazy guy in the back of the bar, even if they're the muscle guy.
No, and if you think back to Mullah Omar and Osama bin Laden sitting in their tent or outside Kandahar and Tora Bora on September 10th, 2011, America had overwhelming power and could have used it to destroy Afghanistan, and yet those guys had no fear that it would happen.
Mark Steyn, thank you so much. Always great to see you.